Okay, listen. If you already have your shit together, click out of this video because it's not for you. This video is for anyone who has come out of 2021
struggling.
Hey, it's Wesianna. Welcome back to the channel. Whether you had a good year or a bad year, I think we can all agree that 2021 was a bit of a train wreck. There's still a lot of uncertainty coming into 2022, and I know a lot of us are frankly burnt out. And if anything, 2021 really served as a gentle reminder that things don't always go as planned. I know a lot of you have given up on traditional resolutions this year, and so instead of trying to be hyper productive and do all the things, I thought we should take a step back and focus on what's most important, which means that this video is really just going to be about answering one question. What is the one thing you can do that makes everything else easier? James Clear refers to these as keystone habits. If you've ever read his book Atomic Habits, you'll know what those are. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to establish 30 new routines and habits every year in order to become the best version of yourself. Habits create ripple effects, and by focusing on only the ones that create the most impact, you'll not only make your days and routines easier and more simplified, but you'll also find that becoming the best version of yourself doesn't always have to take this tremendous amount of emotional energy and mental effort. And with that said, here are 12 tiny, achievable habits that you can bring into your life this year. Number 1, using a face spray as soon as you wake up. I bet you thought I was gonna say meditating, but really, I am a chronic snoozer, and it's always been so difficult for me to get out of bed in the morning. I've tried fancy apps that monitor my sleep phases. I've tried putting my phone across the room. I've tried getting just a really simple good night's rest, and nothing ever really seemed to work. I always reached for the snooze button no matter how much rest I got. And believe it or not, the one thing that has actually worked for me that I started doing back in December of 2021 is I now keep a facial misting spray next to my bedstand. And every morning when my alarm clock goes up, the first thing I do without even thinking is to just reach over, crusty-eyed, half asleep, and spray myself. I know it sounds dumb, but it wakes you up right away, and it's the simplest way to get yourself awake, up out of bed, and started on your day. Number 2, water before coffee. Everybody says to drink more water. I don't know about you. I have no idea what that means. It's literally the opposite of a SMART goal. But hydration is still so important. And one of the best ways to make sure that you're incorporating water into your day is to drink it right away after waking up. You're already dehydrated from sleeping, and drinking a diuretic like coffee is only going to dehydrate you more. And starting off in a dehydrated state is gonna lead to low energy and motivation, which will carry through with momentum throughout the day. And it's also gonna make you hungrier. You're gonna reach for snacks more often. See how one habit can affect so many other things? Number 3, focus on the one big thing each day, preferably in the morning, AKA eat the frog. There are a million different ways to manage your time, but if you really wanna get things done, you gotta eat the frog and you gotta do it first thing. This means prioritizing just one needle-moving task in the morning every single day. And that way, if people start pinging you or putting on last minute meetings on your calendar, or you just have life kind of getting in the way and suddenly you find that it's 8 p.m. and you haven't done anything that you wanted, you'll at least have accomplished one thing that was really important, which means that you'll probably have done more than most people do all day. Number 4, tame the rabbit. Rabbit holes are the kryptonite of focus. If you've ever spent an entire afternoon researching the ins and outs of the real estate market in San Antonio when you should have been scripting a video, you'll know exactly what I mean. Fostering creative ideas and pursuing your curiosities is awesome, just not within the final hours of when you have to complete a deadline. Instapaper, Evernote Clipper, Notion Clipper, your watch later button on YouTube, whatever it is, just make sure that if you see something interesting while you're working, it has a place to go and it's filed for when you want to access it later. Not only does this keep you on track throughout the day, but it also ensures that you have a place to put all the things that you find interesting when you intentionally put aside time later to review them. Number 5, declutter after dinner. There are tons of different ways that you can incorporate cleaning into your daily routine, but I personally found that the most effective and least resisting way to clean every single day is to simply do it after dinner. You're already washing dishes, you're already putting things away. Just add an extra 10 minutes and put away the clothes that you threw on your clothing chair earlier, and unpack your work backpack and just put things away into their place for a few minutes. When you're already moving around, you're already working, and you'll find it so much easier to relax in the evening. And you also won't have these weekends that are dedicated to hours and hours of just cleaning and decluttering because things were piling up throughout the week. Not to mention, when our environment is in order, it's a lot easier to focus on work and projects throughout the day. Number 6, notifications off, always. Rather than investing in these grand social media breaks or putting on these restrictive apps on your phone, really all you have to do to handle your social media use and to put a lid on your phone use is to just really follow one simple rule, which is do not disturb all the time. By doing this, you'll be able to take back your time and only respond to people when it's on your terms. Personally, I keep my best friends and family on my favorites list, and that means that personally, I still like to keep my best friends and family on my favorites list, which means that if anyone calls me during the day, even when I have do not disturb on, their call still goes through. So I am covered for emergencies, and if someone really needs to get in touch, they'll call me. You can also take this one step further and turn off notifications entirely on all of the apps that you use, or you could even just put your phone in another room when you're working or when you're sleeping to avoid being tempted to use it. Number 7, 30 minutes of reading before bed. If you're trying to read more this year, it makes it so much easier to incorporate reading time into your routine versus trying to intentionally find time throughout the day to actually sit down and read. Doing this before bed is probably the best time to do it because it actually helps to increase your sleep hygiene and makes it easier to fall asleep at night versus when you're scrolling through your phone and you have all of this stimulation coming at you right before you're trying to fall asleep. This in turn helps you get up earlier in the morning and have more energy throughout the day. Isn't the stacking stuff great? Bonus points if you're using a Kindle because then you can access your books on your phone, which means that when you are on public transportation or waiting in line for something, when you're out at the grocery store, then you can read instead of having to go onto TikTok or Instagram, and that way you're also limiting your social media use if that happens to be an intention that you're serving this year as well. Number 8, daily gratitude. This is probably the easiest and simplest way to boost your mood and to improve your mental health. That's because when you're encouraging gratitude, you are putting yourself in this abundance mindset and you're priming yourself to see good throughout the day. So more good things actually happen to you because that's just what your perspective is training to look at. Does that make sense? This is as simple as keeping a physical list next to your desk or even just taking a mental note before you go to bed about something that you were grateful for that day. Number 9, it's either hell yes or no. Of course, this isn't gonna work for all areas of your life. You still gotta go to work, do the laundry, pay the bills. But when it comes to taking on new opportunities, if it's not something that you are incredibly enthusiastic about, then it's probably not something that you should be spending your time on. This is one of the best and most effective ways to not only make your life easier, but to also make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself with experiences and work opportunities and events and people that you really just feel lukewarm about. By following this rule, you'll only be committing to experiences that you actually care about and that genuinely fulfill you in some way or make a difference in your life. Number 10, a protein and a vegetable for every meal. Rather than calorie counting or tracking macros or just dieting in general, just make sure that you're including a lean protein and a vegetable, preferably a green one, with every single meal. You can still eat all the carbs and all the pasta that your heart desires, and you'll probably still be fine. In fact, when you eat more nutritious foods, you feel fuller and more satisfied than when you just eat junk, so you'll probably be less inclined to eat these things anyway without actually having to track them or to forcefully restrict or set these rules around what you can and can't eat. Number 11, pay yourself first. Automate your finances. Money goals can be really overwhelming, especially with how unstable the job market has been for these last 2 years. So if you are struggling to get your personal finances in order, this tip is for you. If you're not already doing so, put your savings and your investments all on auto pay so that every single paycheck, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to think about it, worry about it, calculate anything. It's all going directly where it needs to be. What's great about this is that if you don't feel like you have the energy or the mental capacity to really budget and plan your finances the way you want to, you're still gonna be putting yourself in a really good, financially stable place, or at least building to that, simply just by putting all of these very basic necessities on autopilot. I also suggest putting your credit card payments, your rent, your bills, anything else that you have to reoccurringly pay every month also on auto pay if you can, because that way you're freeing up mental space to worry about other things and you'll never have to worry about being late. Last, but definitely not least, is number 12, deep work and deliberate rest. Say it with me. No multitasking. If you want to rest, rest. If you want to work, work. But don't sit in front of the TV sending off a bunch of half-assed emails. I promise you'll save more time, be more productive, and feel more rested if you focus on one thing at a time. And I also want to note that for a lot of us who have been feeling very stressed or very tired coming out of 2021, this is a really great way to naturally prevent burnout and to bring balance into your life. If you end up trying to multitask too much, you really just end up being on all the time and you never really make room for being present with loved ones or to focus on yourself or hobbies that you really love. And that is, again, a recipe for burnout. So remember, one thing at a time, and life will get so much easier, trust me. And that concludes our 12 habits that I suggest incorporating into your daily or weekly routines this year. Of course, you don't have to do all of them all at once. Even if you just pick one or two that are really relevant to areas that you're struggling with right now, it can make a really big difference in your life. I hope everyone's getting a great start to 2022, and even if you're not, that's okay. You're doing just fine. But that's it for now, and I will see y'all on the next one.